How are you, Doug?
Mate, I'm good. Yeah, enjoying sunny northern New South Wales,
Oh,
uh,
beauty.
beach life. Yeah, mate, it's all been pretty good. Excited to get chatting with you today. Get us back underway.
Yeah, very exciting. I think we're hoping to get a little bit more momentum happening with our chats, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah,
Today's an exciting one. I thought that we would have a chat about what has become not just things that we've tried out and kind of had limited success with, but have become mainstays in our everyday life or close to everyday life in terms of rituals, health practices, tools, whatever it might be. And I thought we'd limit it to five if you can. And yeah, we'll take it from
yeah.
there. So, did you?
I loved this
Yeah, go
when you
ahead.
posed this question. I loved this because it can get really easy as a coach, particularly the further you go down the rabbit hole, to forget where you started, and that's both in terms of exercise, but also I think which we're leading to is the lifestyle side of health and wellness. Um,
Mm,
and so the first thing that came to my mind was water, like drinking 2 liters of water, good quality water a day. I don't even really think about it anymore. And sometimes I forget to check off my clients whether whether that's that they're doing it, because it's just such a fundamental part of what I do. I don't even really think about it, like brushing your teeth or, any other habit that is just something that's autonomic. So yeah, that was number one, the hydration. And
let me just flesh that out if you don't mind. I think water is a super important thing, and to you and me, it's taken for granted and somewhat overlooked because it's become a part of our artillery. But like so many of my clients, the first thing I ask them if they've been suffering from migraines or if they're feeling lethargic, I never think that water is the elixir to their woes, but I do feel if it hasn't been addressed, that's the first thing that they should be addressing. Because for me, on my side of the fence, it's the thing that more often than not can actually address a lot of the energy issues, the lethargy issues, and anything in that like. It can be a really big proponent for it.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we're 70% liquids. Our cells rely on it to function. And if you don't have it and you're in a state of dehydration, everything sort of slows down. And so
100%.
as those processes slow down, so do you. So, yeah, energy levels, your ability to recover from workouts, your ability to be cognitively aware whilst you're working, etc., etc. So, yeah, I know, mate, I 100% agree. And it is something that, this conversation and I have to just keep on reminding myself about it and about how I need to regulate that for people that haven't gone down the rabbit hole yet and need reminding.
Yeah, spot on. Sorry, I just had to change the light on my. I was looking a touch jaundice, so needed to change that. This is a health podcast after all,
Yeah,
and
no, mate, don't worry. You're back to looking lily white now.
all right, Mister Northern New South Wales,
Super tanned all year round.
all year round. You
Yeah, so I think that was a great place to start. I think number two, which I actually put above number one in the hierarchy of needs, but it is something that probably came to me a little bit later on in the health journey.
I'm
And
going to stop you there. I think it'd be cool to go one for one. Let's do
oh,
that.
you're so right. You're so right. Go on. I want to see if actually you're going to say the exact same thing as what I was going to say anyway.
Well, the reason I kind of want to go one for one is because if you brought up something that I thought I was going to bring
Uh,
up, I'm
yeah,
gonna switch it out.
I reckon we'd be very, very similar.
Well, I think there's a lot of simple acts and processes and rituals that so many people take for granted. Water is definitely one of them. I'm just going to add an aspect to that. What I take every morning without fail is it's a concoction called Alkala N, and it's basically a series of it's an anti-acidic formula that I take in warm water, like religiously every morning when I wake up, and every morning, every evening when I go to sleep.
Twice a day.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it's something that I just love. It makes me, whether, look, I haven't measured it. It was advised to me by my very trusted naturopath. And it's something that I have, because I've suffered from heartburn and reflux since I was very young. And that is an acidic kind of, you know, it's an acidic symptom. So this is something that I was put onto a long time ago, and now I just can't go without it. I'll be honest. It's something that I'm really, really into. So
Yeah,
that
okay.
is an aspect. And just on top of that, since we're talking supplements, I'll just couple that with other kind of supplements I do take, which I take in the evening. I take magnesium, glycinate, and glycine. So it's just a combination of magnesium and glycine, and I just think it gives me a really restful sleep.
Yep.
And I take vitamin D in the morning
Okay.
pretty
So
religiously.
a few things. Firstly, I think that's excellent for you, and but it is worth mentioning that that was specific to you and your needs, and that not necessarily a general advice for everybody. Like if somebody's
Absolutely.
acidic, then that sounds like that supplement would be great for them. Likewise, if they're vitamin D deficient. Secondly, though, what like I just wanted to flesh out the first supplement a little bit more. Like, what is it that reduces the acidity? What does the supplement contain? And if you were to stop taking it, have you tried stop taking it? Does the reflux and stuff come back?
No, because I take homeopathy to kind of keep that at bay, and that has been a wonderful way to be able to just give my body the resources to be able to give you a sense of where I was at versus where I am at now.
Yeah, for sure.
Since the age of 15, I couldn't go a day without taking Nexium
Right.
until a few years ago. And since working with this naturopath, I'm happy to name her as well. Her name's Vivian Kahan, and she's an absolute angel on this earth.
Yeah, I know Viv.
Uh,
Very good.
and
She was
and
up in Pottsville for a bit.
yeah.
She's obviously got great taste as well.
She's got great taste. Uh, and yeah, so I moved from working with her in homeopathy. I now take maybe half an Nexium a week.
Okay. Oh,
And
okay. So you're not taking it morning and night. Well, that's a different
no,
supplement.
no, no, Alcala. And so Nexium is a pharmaceutical drug.
Right. Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
so that's an actual pharmaceutical drug, which I was desperate
Reflux.
for reflux, and I was desperate to
Okay.
get off that.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. Okay. I'm with you. Sorry.
yeah. So and this Alcala N in combination with the homeopathy has been able to give me the opportunity to now minimize this to a point where I'm at 1/14 of the dosage of what I
Yeah,
usually have.
incredible.
Yeah. So that's really good. And I'll just tell you what it is made of. I'm just doing a little. So it's a powder supplement. It's made of sodium and potassium bicarbonate. So it's along with sodium citrate.
Okay.
So it's various different types of sodium. It's a pretty natural supplement that.
Interesting. So I wonder whether if you put some electrolytes in some water, you'd get a similar effect.
Question that I will give to.
Getting back to your hydration, like that sounds like something that helps hydrate your cells,
Yes. Very, very possible.
which then might balance out the body. Okay. Did you have so apart from your supplement regime, did you have a habit that you've instilled?
Well, that is the habit that I've instilled. I chose to select a couple of, like, a varying array of things, either things that I take on a regular basis or rituals that I partake in, and I consider that both kind of under the ritual umbrella. So let's move back to you and see what you got next.
I mean, for me, the number two, like I was saying, which I think as a pillar of health, I actually put it at number one, but it was just something that came to me later on in my journey, but has now absolutely for the last 10 years been a core tenet of what I coach and what I sort of practice. Although it has been somewhat interrupted by children, is your sleep wake cycle.
Yeah.
So just having a consistent sleep wake cycle. So I hesitate just to say sleep because it's just so much more than that. It starts from the moment I wake up, getting outside, getting sunlight, reducing the amount of sort of things that would lift me up and like caffeine, stimulants throughout the day, and then winding down in the evening. So reducing the amount of light that comes into light information that comes into my eyes, making sure I've got a bit of a routine for going to bed and then going to bed at a consistent time so that my body isn't in this constant state of flux, fighting a quasi jet lag, and aiming for between 7 and 9 hours every night and sort of planning backwards from the time that I need to wake up to the time that I need to go to bed. And I have just, yeah, I think that's a transformational habit for everybody that I've come across.
I mean, I cannot double down on that more than what you've said. And even if I didn't have even if I didn't have this in my original toolkit, which I did, I'd have to bring it in because it's such an important. And we talked about this on so many
We've
different.
spoken about this at great length, haven't we? So we probably don't need to delve into it too much. But yeah, those are the first one that popped into my head when you sent through the question. I was like, water, just because it's one that I forget that I even do now. And then yeah, sleep, just the utmost importance.
Sleep, super important, and that also comes to like the supplementation that I take, and I do cycle it, at night time to be able to enhance my sleep process. But once again, just touching on the things that so many of us take for granted, things like being in touch, which you've talked about with sleep waking cycle, being in touch with the natural sunlight throughout the day. So many of us will just neglect natural sunlight because it's convenient, and we can easily live our entire lives just being under fluorescent lighting,
Yeah.
and that can follow on to the evening and completely mess up our sleep wake cycle and our circadian rhythm. So something to really really be aware of. For me, if I can get outside as close to within an hour of waking up and being in touch with that light, with that natural light, and then likewise on the other side of the fence, minimizing as much fluorescent lighting when I just before I'm going to sleep. So
Yeah.
lowering the overhead lighting, having very very dim lighting, and if you're watching TV, well, I watch TV at nighttime, and I'm not going to deny anyone that
No.
privilege and joy.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Just manage your way around it and understand the mechanisms that are at play so you can scale it back if and when you need to. So, what
Um,
would be your number two or three, wherever we are on the list?
Number two for me is getting regular steps outside in and
Okay.
walking. So it's kind of piggybacking to a certain degree on the being in touch with natural sunlight. I like to go for walks after my lunchtime meal, and that just helps to balance out my blood glucose level as well. It also helps to be in natural sunlight, and it also helps to get my natural step count up. So many of us are under that 5,000 step mark, where we could, with a little bit of creative thinking, be up and around that 8,000 step mark. And I think it's just about understanding and programming into your day where steps can come into play.
Yeah, great. How would you suggest that somebody turn that into a habit?
Like anything, it's going to be a conscious thing at the beginning of the but I like to piggyback off things that you regularly do. So for
Yeah,
me,
habit stacking.
yeah, it's just correct. It's just a simple form of habit stacking. That's why for me, after a meal, everyone has meals. We all
Yeah,
eat.
Yeah.
So, and it's a double benefit there. So you have the benefit of acknowledging that you have a meal throughout the day, roughly around the middle of the day, and after that meal, you can habit stack a walk afterwards,
Yeah.
and
And it has that duality then, it's great for digestion as well.
and then you've got also the duality of it being great for digestion and your blood glucose level.
Yeah.
And bonus points for people who have the ability to be able to navigate and negotiate with their partners and their families, whether they can wake up within the first hour and do a 10-minute walk, because that's going to have extra credit in terms of sleep-wake cycle and
Yeah, for
circadian
sure.
rhythm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Um, My next one has probably more to do with exercise, in that I just it's now not it's a non-negotiable that I will do some form of movement, and it probably piggybacks off of yours a little bit, but it's something that I think that most people struggle with the most when they come to see me, and that's why they're coming to see me. It's because their ability, consciously or unconsciously, to actually habituate some form of exercise, most days, I think is limited. And I think, again, habit stacking, making it a conscious process, taking that conscious process to the next level, which is actually planning out your routine for the day, is how I would advise you habituate this.
Mm-hmm.
Because just hoping that it's going to happen because you've made a decision, I think, is probably a bit of a fool's errand. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I think if you just diarize your week, have it so that you have 2, 3, 4 hours of that week blocked out to be able to do your exercise. I think even if you don't get the best workout in the world, it's something is better than nothing. And I think having that established is something that's going to really aid getting that into, sort of, not to sound too pretentious, but where I'm at now, where it's not, it's yeah, I don't think about the fact that I'm going to exercise. It's just I'm going to do something, whether that be mobility, strength, a run, or even like you just going for a walk, some level of movement every day.
Yeah, I'll double down on that. For me, for now, I would say at least 2 years, it has just been a non-negotiable for me. I'm actually doing gym strength training every weekday. And if I physically don't have the time, I will sometimes wake up at 4:30 in the morning to be able to fit it in. And that might seem a little bit extreme, but for me, it's just such an important box to tick off in terms of my mental health. And for others, sleep will be a more important priority for them.
Depends where you're at in your life. Actually, exercise can undo some of the damage you do by getting a short amount of sleep. But I think the real win with what you're saying is robbing from Peter to pay Paul. And obviously, there's a tipping point, you can do too much of it. But if I go and I let it slip for that day or that week or that month, it's gone.
And that's
It's so much harder to get back into it. So I'm with you. More times than not, I would prefer to get up earlier and do the workout and regain the sleep on the back end, as long as that's possible. And obviously, there's various different scenarios in which it's not, and okay, grab the sleep. But yeah, I think keeping that habit going is so much easier than letting it go and trying to get it back again.
right. Another thing I will talk about in regards to, it's kind of in regards to this, it's related to this, and that's for those of us that are in a partnership or in a family, and we're both family men. I think communication with your family and your partners about understanding where exercise is placed and health is placed in you and your partner's life, and being able to offer space for them to be able to make that a priority for them, and likewise to be able to make it a priority for you. If you're kind of sneaking around being, trying to get it done without telling your partner. I've just found that open communication, so you can create space for your partner and they can create space for you to be able to do it, is just the best way to be able to tick those boxes off for each other. And also it's just a display of understanding and care for each other as well.
It's the highest form of self-care, and so to give that to someone else, it's got to be one of the higher forms of love and appreciation. Just to sort of add on to that, because I couldn't agree with it more. This is not something that I've habituated, or indeed that I do often, but I think on that line of communication with your partner, and if you are struggling with that, to get across the line, is like something that I often do is revert to. It's almost this victim mentality where you're just throwing shade onto the other corner to divert attention away from the fact that you maybe need to regress in the argument or wherever it is a little bit. And I think just a much more productive avenue with communication and open lines of communication is to just, rather than being hurt and then throwing a volley back, is to just try and explain the feeling in the moment. It's so hard to do.
We've all been in that tennis match.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's not productive. It doesn't get anywhere. At some point, you might beat someone down and claim some sort of victory, but really, you've both lost because, you're never getting laid at the end of that argument. But I think if you can say, look, if I don't exercise, it makes me feel like this, and then not understanding this makes me feel, a certain way, invalidated, emasculated, hurt, angry. I think it's much easier for the other person to then understand that, rather than saying, well, hey, you got to go shopping the other day with your girlfriends, and you got to go out for dinner, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and I did X, Y, or Z with the kids. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter any of that stuff. All that matters is that I feel better when I train, and when you don't allow me the space to do that, it makes me feel like X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
And then I think it's much easier for the partner to comprehend it, and you both get to a place where you can agree, all right, instead of training 4 times a week, I'll train 3 times and you train 3 times, and we'll work it out on the 7th day as to who does what. Or however that people want to organize it. But I think it's just a much more productive and open way to communicate with people. Something I'm still learning, but yeah.
We all are. And also not assuming that your partner requires the same thing that you require to fill their cup.
Sure.
It may be something different. So simply the matter of asking them, what is it that you want that you don't currently have? And it may not be going to the gym to pump iron. It might be going for a walk, and might be going for a run. It might be doing something completely unrelated. There are so many different things, but we assume that we know what our partners are thinking without asking them those questions.
Yeah, true. Particularly when you've been with them for a long time. So that's a great point.
Yeah. I don't know where we're at. I believe it is you.
Me. I didn't have too many more that I had pre-planned on after you asked me that question. I think for me, I always hesitate to bring up my nutrition because I'm in a super privileged position in that I'm home quite a lot. So it's not like I don't have to do any big days of, prep,
meal prepping,
food prepping. Like I can pretty much wing it and do it on the day. We do have to prior plan the shopping and do the shopping. But I get to prep all of my food as I eat it, and I have that time and that luxury. That being said, even if I didn't, I think the type of foods my food choices are something that I don't even really think about anymore. And I think that just gets borne out with experience. And I'm not talking about necessarily experience in coaching. What I'm talking about is, I've gone through the journey and felt good and know what it feels like to eat healthy and be healthy and then go backwards and then go back up again. And so like that type of, uh, good versus bad relationship, you get the cost benefit, you get the benefit of feeling that way. And so it's the chips and the pizza and the soda drinks, like they're just not as appealing to me anymore, every now and then, but it's just not something that I would choose from a day-to-day basis because I know how I'm going to feel on the back end of it.
Well, and that's really something to acknowledge. Well, I'll give you something from my own personal experience with this. Since the kind of Easter Passover kind of period, I let myself slip into just having a little bit of chocolate here, a little bit of chocolate there, and it had kind of turned into a daily occurrence. And it was just the beginning of this week. I was like, sometimes you just need to draw, like, physically, like you need to acknowledge and draw that line in the sand and say, today's the day where I am beginning. I know what's good for me. And I've been living in a world where I've been getting short-term satisfaction and then feeling like rubbish afterwards.
Yeah.
And this was the week where I acknowledged to myself where I'm drawing a line in the sand and I'm cutting that stuff out because I know it's not good for me. So for everyone out there that is kind of in that cycle of short-term fixes, sometimes, at least for me, I just need to be able to demonstrate to myself that there is a moment in time where I need to acknowledge it and announce it. And then for me, it just kind of continues on. And every time I see myself moving towards that pantry, I'm like, wait up. Am I a person of integrity here?
Yeah.
Because I announce this to myself. And if I am not living in integrity in this department of my life, it's going to be really, really easy to be able to step out of integrity in other departments of my life.
Yeah, I think you're only as good as the word and the bond that you break to yourself. So if you are a sum of the actions that you produce, and if you continually set yourself up to do one thing and do another, you lose faith in yourself. And so your ability to unwind that and start to clock up wins, I think actually builds self-esteem and confidence. And yeah, I think it's a really good point.
And just last thing to add to that really is, it doesn't need to be a black or white situation. For me, I know what works for me. And for me, I live within that space for a period of time, and I give myself a release valve uh, throughout, like during a day, throughout the week, and that works for me.
Like a
But
cheat day or cheat meal or something.
yeah, I actually don't like to call it a cheat day or a cheat.
No.
I
Yeah.
call it a treat day or a treat
Yeah.
meal,
Yeah. Nice.
because it changes the framing for me. It's like, yeah, I get to reward myself with something, as opposed to, I'm not cheating anything. I'm just giving myself a reward and a release valve to be able to continue this cycle.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I think I sort of turned the corner this year and started to think about stuff that I was restricting was stuff that was eating to perform well.
Yeah.
So what was going to serve me if I'm making food choices in the evening? What was going to serve me to allow me to perform the best the next day?
Yeah. Love that.
It wasn't going to be the chocolate and the ice cream, right? Like I was going to interrupt my sleep. That was going to leave me feeling lethargic. The next day, it was going to have my blood sugars all over the place, which was also going to leave me lethargic and was probably going to diminish my ability to perform the next day. So I quite like that mantra, because it doesn't put a restriction on necessarily what you can eat or how much you can eat, but it sort of intuitively allows you to frame it in your mind that I'm going to make the same choices. I'm just going to make them for a better reason rather than taking away. I'm giving to myself. the
Okay.
opportunity to work better.
Yep, I like that a lot. It's really, really good. It's the why, it's
Yeah,
having that why in the undercurrent is such an important thing.
yeah, I agree.
Dunk, I think we'll leave it there. That was really, really
Yeah,
good. Like always, we start on one path, and I love how we can kind of develop different tangents and equally valid and important tangents, and then bring it back. So that was awesome, mate.
thanks, mate. Likewise.
Thanks for the chat, Dunk, and thank you guys. If you have any questions that you'd like to kind of bring towards us, we'd love to be able to answer them.